are listening to the Strange Oddities Podcast on the KGRA Radio Network. Please visit their website, kgraradio.com. You're listening to the Strange Oddities Podcast Friday nights, 2 a.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. Pacific Time on the KGRA Radio.
And please welcome your host of Strange Oddities Podcast, Matthew J. Haas.
All right, everybody. Welcome to another great episode of Strange Oddities Podcast. Thanks for tuning in tonight, guys. I'm really excited because I feel like a kid in a cookie jar because I'm a huge fan of this guest that I have tonight. Before I give him a nice, big, warm introduction, he's waiting here with us. Our viewers, our listeners, as always, in the beginning, I like to tell everybody we have a website, guys, strangeodditiespodcast.wordpress.com. You can follow us on Facebook. You heard all that good stuff in my new intro. We are also part of the kgraradio.com. Check out their website, guys. We're rebroadcasting on the KGRA Radio Network. It's the biggest alternative talk radio network there is on the web. Guys, without further delay, I don't want to make this awesome guest wait any further. I don't want you guys to wait any further. We have Captain Sig from the Northwestern of the Deadliest Catch show on Discovery Channel. Sig, welcome to the Strange Oddities Podcast. Again, thank you for taking the time out of your crabbing season to come be on the show.
Well, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah.
All good.
Yeah, it's all good, man.
You sound so nervous. Why are you so nervous?
I'm not nervous. I'm excited. It's more excitement because
I can hear a crackle in your voice.
That's from being in the heat all day. I'm a security guard at a high school, and I sit in the sun all day long in a little hot sauna.
Yeah.
Yeah. So what do you guys are doing in your off season with this whole pandemic situation? That you got plenty to do, or has it put any hiatus on crabbing? Like what's the deal with fishing and the situation?
Well, for us right now, we're waiting to hear if we even have a season to fish. They're not doing a survey. So with that being said, basically every summer they'll survey the bottom of the ocean and the Bering Sea, and then they'll come up with a number of crab that we can catch. Because of the pandemic, they haven't done that. Now, that being said, I'm hoping that they'll just give us a minimum amount to go and catch and keep the industry moving forward. So
Sure.
That would be my hope.
Right. Yes, I did hear that, like, as far as local fishing, they are allowing some charters with a certain amount of capacity on certain boats, and depending what they're catching, I'm sure they're putting regulations on different fish, and just like what you described, I'm sure it's going around all over. So,
But I mean, we're a necessity, right?
Yeah.
We're feeding people, so
That's true.
said, I would think that we got a good shot at it.
Right.
But that's the one thing about fishing, that there's no guarantee, and
Right.
that's what makes our life so interesting to me, because I can't say, well, I work 9 to 5. There's no guarantee I have a job,
Right.
and that's been our lifestyle for decades.
Sure.
And so I'm very appreciative of what we have, what we've done,
Yeah.
and accomplished. And you never take it for granted. You can't.
No, you can't. Yeah. And you're in the Bering Sea. You can't take the Bering Sea for granted at all either, because what you guys deal with on an everyday basis versus what everybody else deals with, because you guys go through like hell and back as far as what you guys put up with, storms and ice and the harsh seasons that you fish through. I have a lot of respect for you guys, not just because I'm a fan, but from fisherman to fisherman, I love fishing, but there's no way I could do what you guys do. I give you guys a lot of respect.
I've heard that so many times. I mean, it's like, and I appreciate those words. I think it means a lot to me. but it's like people say, I can never do what you do. And I'm thinking, sure you can. You just got to do it.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But it's a very nice compliment to hear.
Yeah.
And I mean, let's face it, Deadliest Catch has been on the air for, I think we're in year 16.
Yes, 16 seasons.
That thing goes in 120, 30, 40 countries. You know, it's amazing. It's mind-boggling. And the show literally changed the way television was produced. You know, it was a part of that.
Yeah.
And so, when you look back after over a decade and a half, pretty proud of it.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. Now, one of my questions I do want to ask you is, what would you rather take, ice or going through a storm? What would you take over the other? I know you guys pound away ice like there's no tomorrow.
Storm.
Yeah.
Storm.
Wow.
Because ice will kill you. And I've lost, we just lost another boat this winter. A good friend of mine. Matter of fact, Scandia's Rose, when they went down, and we're only speculating, but I think part of the problem was icing, but I think that's just part of the problem. You know, so when you get an X factor, right?
Right.
So you get one X factor. Well, ice is always a big X factor. And that boat I know personally because my father and his partner used to own that vessel. And she's a beauty, but they did not survive. And I think ice was a factor, but I also think that there are other factors. When you add number 2, number 3, you got a problem. And so ice is, that's a big one.
Yeah.
A storm, you have control. You can manipulate your speed, your direction. You have a little more control. When icing happens, you lose control because, when it starts building, what might be a quarter inch, half an inch, pretty soon you're talking about a couple of 3 feet of thickness.
Yeah.
Now you're not in control.
Right.
And so ice that's the bad one.
Yeah. Yeah. Ice is not nice.
Nope.
I mean, look at what happened to Nick just on a recent episode that just aired. He had a chunk of ice that just flew right in his face, and he got a slash right in his nostril, and to me, he needed probably stitches for that.
Suck it up, Buttercup.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, no, that guy can take a hit. But
I knew his father really well. I don't know Nick very well, but I know. It's interesting when you think about the people that have watched the program. There is a connection with all of us.
Yeah.
One way or another, right?
Right.
And like Bill, I knew him I knew him close to 3 decades.
Wow.
But just in passing.
Yeah.
And then because of the program, now we're much closer. Jonathan and Andy and all these guys that have been on the show, and Jake used to work for me.
Yeah, I remember. Yeah,
he's a captain.
Yep.
I'm very proud of him.
He's come a long way. Yeah.
Well, it does create a different bond. But that being said, you still have this fisherman bond.
Sure.
And when you talk about Nick, well, I know him from reputation because I knew his father.
Yeah.
You see?
Right.
So, but I would still back him up.
Yeah, yeah. Well, yeah, that's my thing. Like with the show, it's funny how during the season, there's feuds and there's some personal battles between other ships. Like look at the Southern Wind and the Cornelia Marie, what happened this season with them. You got those situations. But then I think in the end, because you guys all do the same thing, you have all the same common goal, which is to live and to take care of your families. So you kind of bring yourselves together to be one little circle of family, so to speak.
Well, and they've used the term before, a band of brothers, right?
Right.
And that is a fact.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm going to say it. One of the most famous comments that I've ever heard was from Jonathan Hillstrand on the Time Bandit.
Right.
And him and Keith and he were not getting along. And then Jonathan said, don't even call me if you're sinking. And I'm thinking, oh my God, I won't even come to your rescue. But at the end of the day, he would. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah. If there was somebody in time,
call me if you're sinking.
Yeah. If there was a time where somebody really needed somebody, they would be there. Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah. Wow. So, another question, which I'm sure everybody's probably asking, which is what brought your daughter into the picture? Was it something that you always wanted as a father figure, like to have your daughter kind of take over, like maybe over the reins in the future, take over the business? Did she have something? She was more interested in it herself, or like what brought her kind of into the picture?
Well, I got to be careful what I say, but I can tell you the truth, and that is that Mandy, she was on that boat when she was 13, 14 years old. Every summer.
Yeah.
And so she tries to emulate, past history, put it that way. And this is during the salmon tendering season. So she's been on there since she was a kid. And so she knows that thing inside and out. And the fact that, she finally was able to participate in the winter months for crabbing, that was all on her. So unbeknown to me, she made that happen herself.
Oh, nice.
And so I could always say, well, and she's always talked about it since she was just a little girl. Like, well, I want to do this, and I want to be a fisherman. And then I think to myself, well, I'm not gonna push you in that direction. And if you do it yourself, if you take it upon yourself, and she did it herself, well, then I'm not going to stop you.
Right.
And that's why I just think so much of her, because this is something that she planned, she wanted, the show or not.
Right.
This is something that she did herself.
Sure.
And the fact that they're there to record and document these things, well, that's just a bonus, I guess.
Yeah, sure.
But pretty cool kid.
Yeah, and for a dad too, to have his kid there along your side, and that's just like you said, an added bonus.
Yeah, it is. And I mean, whether or not the cameras were there, she would probably still be there anyway.
Right.
And that's what's so neat about it,
Right.
And,
yeah.
So she was here at the house, and then had to get down to. They live about 3 hours south of us, so she was had to go down and take care of her home. She just flew in a couple of nights ago.
Wow.
From Anchorage, so she just got off the boat, and she's the boss.
Yeah.
And we do what's called a crew swap.
Mm-hmm.
So she went home. My brother Norm went home. And a young kid that we had on there, his name is Eric, they went home. So they swapped crews.
Wow. And
so now the boat is busy. Her husband, Clark, is the captain at this point in time. And Mandy has now been relieved.
That's funny. Yeah. And I think it's pretty cool that all the things that she's learned in a short period of time, that she's even maybe surprised you a few times with some of the strings that you guys put out and where you guys aren't getting anything, and then she kind of puts feelers out. Well, I think maybe we hit this spot, and then then you catch some good stuff.
You do.
Yeah.
And and I'm very proud of her.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to fill her head full of smoke. So
right.
Yeah. How do I say this politely? You don't want to build up an ego, you know. So what she's done to now is more than anyone could ever imagine or hope for.
Yeah.
Couldn't be more proud.
Right.
You're not going to tell her that, because if you do, then the head gets big, and then the next thing you know, you got a monster on your hands. So that's not going to happen.
Right. Right. Yeah.
See? It's called old school.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I'm old fashioned too, so I'm with you on that one. So, well, my other question is, being that you're on Strange Oddities podcast, because I have to throw all strange questions to my guests, because that's the theme of my podcast. It's strange, strange topics, strange things to be on the show. So that's why I thought Deadliest Catch would be awesome to have on the show, because of some of the stuff you guys go through as seamen and captains and crew. And what have been some of the most outrageous injuries you've seen on your boat on the Northwestern?
Well, and now I'm going to brag a little bit. To my credit, I've never lost a life.
Right.
Uh, haven't had a man overboard.
Knock on wood.
Yeah. And I can remember times where, we were this close to capsizing, and we've been very fortunate. I can remember times where, a partner of mine, a buddy of mine, was literally, a mile away. You could see him visually, and he lost 4 guys in one wave, washed overboard, and there was 1 man left, and they managed to get all of them back. So I haven't had to deal with that because of my paranoia, and I'm proud of my safety record. And I just don't want to see that, coming down the line. I don't want someone else to have to go through that. Like my daughter, for example, her husband was very close to being hurt, and the reaction in her face was just traumatic. And so there's so many close calls that, you could write a book about it.
Yeah.
We had icing where it took us 18 hours to get the ice off the boat, and finally got the boat from her side back upright.
That's scary.
Yeah. We've had her flooded, and we managed to keep her up. We've had fire and managed to keep her up. So we've been really lucky, and this thing was built in 77. So when you look at just my, what do you call it? My efforts.
Mm-hmm.
Hell, I was there in 78. So I've got the 70s, 80s, 90s, and 2000, and she's still floating.
That's amazing. That's a great record.
Yeah, and I don't want to jinx it.
Yeah, no,
Jinx it.
Yeah, no, I don't. I don't want to be on that. It won't be on the podcast. No, I get it.
I took a little. I did a little homework, and I saw what you're about, and then you've got oddities and things like that. And my wife said, "Why don't you tell them a story about the ghost that was on the boat?" And I said, "Well, yeah.
Why not? Go ahead. I'd love to hear it."
Well, we have one.
Wow, yeah, it's cool.
We don't know who it is, but when you're on wheel watch and you're taking watch,
Mm-hmm.
We have cameras in the lazarette, which is all the way in the stern. We have cameras on deck, and we have cameras in the engine room. And Una, my beautiful wife, mentioned to me just about an hour ago, she goes, "Tell them about that." And story goes, we have black and white. At that time, we had black and white cameras, right?
Right.
And one of my brothers was on watch, and he saw a man in a yellow fisherman suit.
Wow.
Rain gear.
Mm-hmm.
Yellow.
Mm.
With a cap.
Right. Yeah. You don't wear that like right now.
That doesn't show up in a black and white camera.
Right.
And ran down to like, who in the heck is down in my engine room? And like, what's going on here?
Right.
Were you there? It was kind of weird.
That's cool. Any speculation as to who you guys think? Like any rumors or?
I think it's my dad. I think it's honestly, it makes me start to think because here at our home, I've learned about the history of where we live here in Seattle in this neighborhood, and this used to be a graveyard. This area, and the girls at the coffee stand talk about some oddities that they've seen there. And my wife, she can see things. I don't. She does. And Mandy has the same thing. And it was really strange because the way our daughter met her husband when she was going to a maritime school, right? She was trained to be a captain.
Right.
And something popped into her head, and it was his grandfather. And he said, "You need to go take care of that boy." And the next thing you know, they're married. And she had absolute no intent to meet him. She thought he was a little bit too flamboyant for her. And his grandfather came in her head and said, "You go say hello to that guy." And they're married. So, I mean, you never know.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, if you're open, you're open. You know, if you're not, you're not. I mean, you know, I think people's experiences are designed for those individuals. That's what I've always firmly believed. I think you're connected in different ways. You know, energy is energy, and everybody has different energies about them. And, you know, you bring that certain bond or connection to that spirit or, you know, that individual that you used to know, and that was designed for them to experience.
I'll tell you something. I was this is a few years ago, and I was fishing, and you know nowadays we have what's called a cell phone. It's kind of nice,
right?
And nowadays they work on the boat. Where back then you didn't have a cell phone. You couldn't communicate. You'd have to use a radio, and you would have to. It was $10 a minute, and you could go from ship to shore. Anyway, I'm talking to my wife, and she went and checked all the doors and every single lock. And there's different keys in this home because it's an older home. So there's remodel here and different locks here and different locks there. Every single one of those locks was open.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah.
And so, you know, I got scared. I got, the hairs raised up on your neck. I said, "Well, lock them." So we went around the house. It's a very big home. She locked everything. I think like an hour later, open.
Wow. That's crazy. Yeah.
I'm glad I wasn't here because I didn't want to.
Right.
So,
well, if we're ever in the area and you ever need investigators, you can always reach out to us and give us a shout, and we'll be there in a heartbeat to help you guys out.
The folks at Discovery, you know what they got me for my birthday last year? They bought me a Ghostbuster kit. That's what they bought me. I thought it was the neatest gift ever. It was perfect.
Yeah.
It was so neat.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm not gonna take sides or say one thing or another, but all I know is, my wife is not a liar.
Yeah.
And if every door's open, there's a reason.
Yeah.
And she was here alone.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's interesting, and definitely put the hairs on the back of your neck a little bit. So.
What else do you want to know?
Well, there's just I don't know where to start. Again, being a fan myself.
You want to talk about Corona? You want to talk about television? You want to talk about what?
Well, how long are you guys actually are at sea from start of the season to the end? I always want to know how many months are you actually crabbing from start to finish?
Well, normally that depends on the quota. So depending on how much crab they foresee that's out there,
Right.
we take 15% of the overall quota
Mm-hmm.
crab that's on the ground.
Right.
Back in the day, we would take over 50%. So we're very conservative. So, when I was younger, we would spend multiple seasons. And I think the longest stretch I did was at one time at sea was 6 months, a couple of weeks home, and then probably 10 months away.
Right.
These days, you have salmon, we can fish cod, we do the crabbing season. So I would say typically the boat's busy, but around 7 months, 8
months.
for my boat.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
And, but I'm not there as much as I used to be.
Right.
Because I don't want to die. And I'm not younger.
Yeah.
But we have other people that can facilitate those industries.
Sure.
That makes sense.
Yeah. It was great to see the Time Bandit back for a little bit with this season. I thought that was great that he came back a little bit. Are you like, not that I want to rush your retirement, but you've been there from the very beginning. Like, again, you've been fishing since God knows when.
You had to go there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta ask. You thinking about retirement soon, or?
Think about it every day.
Yeah.
But
Right.
I mean, I'm a pretty young guy, 54 years old. I got a long way to go.
Right.
And I'm, financially, we're okay.
Yeah.
But when you talk about responsibility,
Mm-hmm.
then, I think that's the driving factor,
Right. Right.
and safety and making sure everybody's going to be all right.
Yeah.
So I'm not done yet.
Right.
I
Yeah.
mean,
Right.
John retired.
Well.
Guess what? He came back.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well.
It don't matter. She's always going to call you back.
Right. Right. Oh, that's what I mean. Like with some guys, like they think about that, but then, it's something you can never really walk away from because you've been doing it your whole life, and it's like a part of your life.
Yeah, you are a part of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I love the fact that you as a neutral viewer can see, hear, you can smell it. It's a part of you.
Yeah.
And that's nothing could be farther from the truth. That's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah. And how is your brother doing, by the way? Because I know he took a bad spill on the boat. I think it was the season before, and he hit his head pretty bad, and he had a seizure. How's he doing?
Norm's doing great. He after that, I think a little light went up on his head, and he's I think Norman is grateful for every day he has on this planet, and so he really took it to heart. He was never a smoker like I have been, but he did a lot of chewing tobacco, and he had a beer once in a while, and he's done. He just stopped everything. He said, "That's it. Life is too precious." And he's been really careful with his body and mind, and I think it's pretty neat.
Yeah.
A little different,
Right.
a little
Right.
stubborn,
Yeah.
but Norm really set a good example for me.
Yeah.
And I love it. But
Yeah.
it was that close. And when you're in Dutch Harbor, they don't have what do they call that machine? Dang it, what's the name of that machine? To look inside your
Oh, like the MRI?
MRI.
Yeah.
And to install one in Dutch is about roughly $2 million. Because you have to have the people and the mechanics and all that, and so you got to get medevaced. So this is not just about Norman, it's about everybody that gets a head bump or anything.
Yeah.
If they can't check you out 100% at the facility, you got to go to Anchorage.
Yeah.
Well, that's a 4-hour plane ride, and that's a $60,000 to $90,000 plane ticket.
Sure.
Get your medevac.
Yeah.
It's a really difficult situation to be, because number one, you don't know if the plane can land.
Yeah.
You don't know if the plane can take off, and you don't know if there's enough planes around to help facilitate your injured person.
Sure.
So it's a really tough atmosphere to be in.
Yeah, and then plus you got the storms and the weather that you're dealing with, and it's bad for them to come out in that kind of condition, because if they can't get to them right away, gosh,
Just like the Coast Guard. I mean, these guys, the men and women, they risk their lives every day,
Yeah.
and they're out. They're babysitting us.
Yeah.
They're doing their job.
Yeah.
I mean, at the same time, they are risking their lives every single day to protect the community. And
Sure.
Hats off.
Yeah, and you guys too. Again, like you guys, like you said, you guys are essential workers too. You guys are out there risking your life, and you guys are fishing, putting the fish out in the market. You're putting crabs out in the market, and if it wasn't for people like you, we wouldn't be eating crab.
As long as you're eating it. When you started fishing crab, king crab was 8-9 cents a pound.
Right. Wow.
And today, we're seeing, 10, 11, 12 bucks a pound. Is like, oh my, if he was alive today, his head would just spin.
Yeah. So, yeah. Being a fisherman or crabberman, whichever you prefer, as far as that goes, what would you prefer as far as a meal if you're eating fish? What's your favorite seafood to eat?
What's my... You're serious right now.
Yeah.
Hang on.
Uh-oh. I think we're in for a treat, guys.
Well, I'm just going to be honest.
What's he pulling out of the fridge? Let's see. I'm gonna probably want some.
So, believe it or not, this is what Norwegians call fish pudding.
Okay.
But it's basically a fish meal, and then you can slice it and fry it.
Nice.
Very good. Good for you.
Cool.
You've seen meatballs before, right?
Oh, of course.
Well, this is the same thing made out of fish.
Wow.
Okay. And you do it in a blender, and then you deep fry them, and I can live on this stuff. This is my breakfast, believe it or not.
Right.
So you're talking to the real deal here, pal.
Well, I'm the podcast host, so I have to throw out the silly and tough questions to you. So, all right. We're having some fun, guys. If you're joining us late, we got Captain Sig Hansen from Deadliest Catch. Unfortunately, his daughter couldn't make it. She had some situation she had to go take care of. But I'm very grateful that he, took the time to be a guest on the Strange Oddities podcast. And I'm real excited. So if anybody in the chat room, has some questions, feel free, shoot them out our way. We'll try to answer them best we can. We have a couple people in there, not many, but we have Laura Simonelli's in there. She's listening. I want to thank everybody for tuning in tonight and giving support to the Strange Oddities podcast. And I don't know, we're having fun. So there's so many things I want to talk about the show. What has been the scariest moment for you, Sig?
Oh, quit stuttering and start talking.
What's been the scariest thing for you?
Scariest moment?
Yeah.
Scariest moment. I had the boat 90 degrees on her side. That was scary because my footprints, my feet, were literally on the wall. That's how far she went over.
Wow.
I was standing on the wall.
That's crazy.
So if you
Wow.
put your feet against the wall. That was scary.
Yeah.
Icing, that was a bad one.
Mm-hmm.
told you earlier, and that took 18 hours, and that was scary. There's so many that you can't even, you know.
Yeah.
I think, rather than say scariest, I'm more grateful. I think I have more grateful moments than scary moments. Put it that way.
True.
That's
Yeah.
honest.
Yeah. No, that's great. Yeah, because like you said, there's so many that have occurred. You can't even keep a list. So
Yeah.
you can't. No.
And I got friends that are gone, and it hurts.
Right.
They
Now,
try to.
no, I know every ship goes through a lot of people sometimes. I've noticed some boats have been really lucky the last couple seasons, and they've had some good crew members. Would you say your ship is are you happy with the crew you got now? I think it's been pretty good.
I think we've always been fortunate because from day one, it's always been a family entity. The people that have been on board have always been treated like family. And quite honestly, even the producers that are there from Discovery are now family to us. And so that's what I think makes our boat a little more unique than some others. And I'm not bashing anybody. Keith, he can go through a greenhorn,
Yeah,
snap a.
sure.
But my mentality is more, look, if you're going to get a guy or a gal and they're going to be there, then you might as well treat them appropriate and teach them. You don't have to knock them down to build them up. That's
Right.
my job.
Right.
And we've been really lucky because we've had guys that our engineer was there for, Parker was there for over 20 years. We've had guys that are a part of the family. So
Sure.
and when you keep a tight crew, a unit, when you go out, then it makes it safer for everybody. And I've said this before, and I'll say it again. Hypothetically, if you were to go out on a vessel and you have a whole new crew and a new captain, and no one's familiar with that vessel, 9 out of 10, you got a problem.
Yeah. Major problem.
Junior, he was on the program now. He's back, and he bought a new vessel, and it hasn't been out for a while. And bad things happen, they almost sank the damn thing.
Yeah, that guy's had a bad string of luck.
Right, but it's like it's like if you have the same engineer or the same captain or the same crew, they're going to they know every little inch of that vessel.
Right.
Where he did not, and you got to go through that learning curve.
Sure.
And that happens. So
Yeah.
we're very lucky that way.
Right. And I noticed with the show, not like, I guess with the last few seasons, it's been like a Russia USA kind of thing, but back in the beginning, they weren't like kind of bringing that into the show. But I think it's always been that way for so many years because they were getting, like, you were getting into the history of Russia and USA and the borderline and all that historic facts that nobody really knew about till like the last couple of years.
Right, and they can only film and show so much.
Yeah.
So it's always been kind of on the wayside, and there's always been a competition. That being said, I think it was appropriate that they showed that aspect of our industry, and so that you can build awareness, and I think the people appreciate that. So
Yeah.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
We've always been rivals, man.
Right. Would you say that was like more of a production idea, or maybe like was it you guys that? Yeah. Yeah. I kind of figured it would be from you.
No, production, no.
No.
I think there's a lot of things over the course of those months that were out there that there's so much footage, and there's only so many hours that they can show.
Yeah.
And so they're doing the best they can with what they have.
Yeah.
Right. And if you I understand production, like you said. If they give you too much, it's hard for a viewer to decipher and swallow everything. So
Sure.
you got to kind of take your time and just give enough so that everyone can digest and understand. Quite honestly,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think that that being the format this year worked out great. We could have done that 5 years ago, but there's other things that they can show. And so production, yeah, they got to be careful because
Yeah.
there's a lot,
Yeah. Yeah.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Definitely. Now, would you say has crabbing or fishing has gotten harder since like back in the day versus modern times, or do you think it's getting easier because of modern times? Is it making it harder or easier?
I think the quota system, now that we know what we're going to go catch, I think that made it safer, which in a sense makes it a little bit easier
Mm-hmm.
because you know what you're going to go do. Uh, the weather is the same. You can't predict that.
Sure.
Stakes are always the same. You can't predict that, and your drive is always the same. So that being said, the quotas have definitely made it better. As far as technology, uh, no. I mean, I'll let you in on a secret, and I could, if you want, I can put it in an envelope and seal it. I already know where I'm going next year. I
Right.
already know where I'm going to fish crab.
Right. Right.
Okay, I already know.
It's in your head.
Most of those knuckleheads don't have a clue where they're going. They don't know. But because of temperatures, ice, pattern,
Mm-hmm.
I already know where I'm going to go.
Yeah, it comes with experience.
All right, let's go with that. So, so I'm just saying that the one thing that's neat about the program or our lifestyle
Sure.
is that you never know what to expect, and I don't,
Mm-hmm.
but I also know that I'm going to go with my gut, and I know where I'm going. I already know.
Right.
Next 15th of October, I know exactly where I'm going,
Yeah.
and so that's what makes it so fun.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
and then you can watch these little babies chase you around and
Yeah.
clueless.
Yeah. Yeah.
That
When
was arrogant, but I earned
you definitely have. Um, would you say, is there a season that you felt was the hardest, or one that you felt where you had a huge slump and you weren't finding a good string? I'm sure you've had plenty of those. Yeah.
it. Well, you got to remember what they film with Discovery is the Apelio and the king crab season, and sometimes they do a bear eye. I can remember where we were fishing out west in Adex. So when you look at Alaska,
Mm-hmm.
you have a chain that goes way out west.
Right.
From Dutch to the end of the islands at two, it takes about 2.5, 3 days to get there. Um, I can remember seasons where, we spent all winter over the holidays, no Christmas, no Thanksgiving, nothing. Went out there and the boat went in the hole. So we owed the boat money,
Mm.
all the fuel, the bait, the time. There was nothing. And so, yeah, I mean, I've got some memories of some big losers.
Sure.
And that's what makes me more appreciative today,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
big one.
Yeah. And
It's okay.
yeah, and you got to know your boat too, because like I give again a lot of respect to the captains that know your engine, because there's been a lot of times where you and others that have really saved the boat with, some of the things that happen with the engine itself while you're out, in the Bering Sea. And look at Jake's boat, for example, this season, and if he didn't know how to fix that problem, he would have sank.
Right. and that just comes with time, and you have those are the kind of things that you can't teach.
Right.
You just have to have it.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm real proud of Jake. You know, we have our ups and downs, and I wish he would have stayed with me a few more years, but he took opportunity, and that's what it takes. And yeah, you got to be a go-getter.
Yeah, he's really come a long way. I remember the feud that you and him had a little bit on the boat on the Northwestern, and he's really kind of become his own person in a way, and I think he's also grateful for you being his mentor. I think he's learned a lot from you.
I believe so, and it took a little while for him to suck it up and have to admit it. But, he's texted me now during the summer while he's doing the salmon charter himself, and and he watches out for Mandy, so they watch out for each other. But he did come a long way. He really did.
Yeah.
You gotta tip your hat to a guy like that.
Yeah. Sure. And what do you guys do during your downtime when you're not fishing?
Yeah, we have a home. We're in Seattle, so Mount Vernon. It's about an hour's drive. So go up to the lake, right? I got a house on the lake. We have a little boat up there, and you can go fishing, jet skiing, you can wakeboard, all that good stuff. I can't. And
well, you can, but
I was going to go up. I was going to try it here. What was it? 3 days ago, I was going to give it a whirl, and then Una, my wife, said, "You know what? If you do that and you throw your back out, you're going to be crying for the next 30 days. So don't even bother." So, and we have our grandson, and we just had a granddaughter that was born March 17th. So,
congrats!
Trying to spend a little time with them, but it's not easy with this pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of paranoia.
Yeah.
We have to take it serious. I had a heart attack a few years ago.
Right.
And I need to be. So it sounds selfish, but you got to be careful.
Sure.
And I had another one here, another heart attack. What was it? 2 years ago, and that was only because I took antibiotics, and I had a reflex.
Mm-hmm.
I was allergic.
Yeah.
Next thing you know, you're laying on a stretcher.
Yeah.
So,
wow. And that's why I was very surprised that you came back on the season after that. When you had it going, you were having that experience on the ship.
Why would that surprise you?
I guess not.
What are you supposed to do? You're supposed to stay home?
Right.
I can teach you how to be a fisherman. You just have to suck it up.
Sure.
What are you going to do?
Right. Yeah.
You're going to cry in your pity party and then you're going to stay home?
Right.
Well, then who's going to run the show?
That's true.
See, I humbled you, didn't I?
Yes, you did.
I'm hearing your voice.
Yes, you did. So that's all.
At the end of the day, then it's not about pride. It's not about being stubborn. It's at the end of the day, it's about responsibility. So just do it.
Right.
That's it.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I respect that greatly. I do. So.
I can hear in your voice.
Yeah.
You're all quiet.
No. I mean, like.
I go, boy, he really shut him down.
Yeah. No. It was just. Yeah. I'm humbled. I am. I was very surprised on that response. You took me by surprise. No. I'm happy that you did. So. Again, I'm grateful that you even took the time to be on the show. Again, the show's only an hour. It's 8:53 already.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, hour goes by quick. You're not gonna believe it. But, are there any shout outs that you'd like to give to anybody that maybe is watching the show with you on, or any special thank yous to anyone special to you that you want to just? I always give that moment to everybody at the end.
Is that right? Honestly, for me, I think anybody that's participating, obviously, I'm very appreciative of that. As far as shout outs, most of the guys that I love are dead. So that's not going to happen. And I think that, hopefully someone got something out of this. So my shout out would be, hopefully I did something and they can pay it forward. Hopefully we did something right.
Sure.
And other than that, my message would be careful, be considerate to others, and be safe. That's all you can do.
Yeah, I like what you said about paying it forward, because that's, the older I get, the more I try to do that myself. I try to pay it forward to the people that helped me and mentored me, and I try to take that knowledge and pass it on to people who are in need of that kind of guidance or help, or, because let's face it, we're in a time where it's scary, and, you don't know what the future is going to look like, and you don't know how much time you have here.
I'm going to break you up. It's kind of interesting because now everybody that's in this situation is living the life that I've been living for decades.
Mm-hmm.
When you think about it,
mm-hmm.
You don't know if you got a next season. You don't know what tomorrow's going to bring. You don't have a steady job, right?
Right.
Think about it.
Yeah.
Well,
there you go.
Now they get to walk in my footsteps, and
right.
I tell you, man, it is scary, but that's life.
Yeah, you just got to deal with it.
Yep. I'll give you one more story.
Sure.
All right. So I'm, for those who haven't heard it, 18, 19 years old, something like that. We've been working for months on end. And so we tied the Northwestern up, and guys were going to go home. And they had just started brown crabbing, which is a brown golden king crab. They just started to, explore. They were making good money. And so shut the boat down, locked it up, and I was going to go, I got a job as a cook / deckhand. I was going to be the cook. So the guys fly home. I take my duffel bag, throw it across the rail, and I jump over and I sprain my ankle. Captain goes, "Well, I can't use you. You're useless." So I had to wait the next day. I got a room at the Unice Hotel. There was just one hotel at the time. Get a room, fly home the next day. A couple of days later, the boat disappears. So had I not sprained that ankle, I would have been on board with those guys, and I knew all of them. So, we're talking about Corona and how precious life is. Well, dodged a lot of bullets, and everybody's doing it today, and you just never know. So I guess the moral of the story is, don't jump and sprain your ankle. Take care of yourself and be safe.
Yeah,
that's all you can do.
That's all you can do. Wow. So hopefully, with the pandemic being in the situation, that we have a 17th season in the works, which I'm sure there will be. I have faith. Yeah. Yeah. I think we're okay. We'll get there when the time comes. So, but that time will come. So,
man, that show's broken more records. They got more Emmys. They don't know what to do with them. They can't. They filled trailers full of the Emmys that thing's got. It's amazing what they've done.
Yeah, they've come a long way. Again, this is Discovery Channel's top running longest show, I think, ever.
Well, they've got that. They've got Shark Week. That's done really well.
Yeah.
Mike has been a part of it. Mike Rowe, he's done fantastic for us and on his own. And come on, man, this is a beautiful thing. So you just want to keep the wheels spinning.
Yeah.
And as long as people are interested, it's pretty flattering.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I'm flattered that you were here on the Strange Oddities podcast. I really am, like, super thank you of, being here on the show. I'm so thankful and grateful that you even took the time out of your busy schedule. I know you said you're not doing much, but trust me, you know, you have no idea what an honor it is, like, being a fan myself. Thank you so much for being on the Strange Oddities podcast. I really appreciate it.
And I'm flattered that I got to bite you a little bit. And you
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I hope I took it well. So, we're talking with Captain Sig from the Northwestern of the Deadliest Catch. They're up to 16 seasons. Godspeed with them and all the crew members of the Northwestern. God bless them guys and all your deckhands and Mandy too. Can't forget about her, even though she wasn't here, but she was here in spirit. So,
all right, brother.
all right, Sig. Gonna end it here, and I'm gonna play our exit song here. Have a great night, and be well to you and your family, and again, like you said, be safe.
Thank you so much.
All right, take care, man. Thank you for tuning in and listening to the Strange Oddities podcast. You can listen to the rebroadcast on the KGRA radio. Check out kgraradio.com for the rebroadcast at 2 a.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. Pacific Time. You can catch the Strange Oddities podcast live every week at 8 p.m. Eastern Time, 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow our YouTube channel for our live weekly show at 8 p.m. If you like the show, please give us feedback. Email us at strangeodditiespodcast@gmail.com. You can also visit our website, strangeodditiespodcast.wordpress.com. Tune in every week, 8 p.m. Eastern Time on the YouTube channel. You can also look us up on Facebook. We have a Facebook page where all the news and information about upcoming guests and anything Strange Oddities Podcast is doing. Go to our Facebook page, give us a like, and give us a shout. Thanks a lot for tuning in, and again, thanks again for the KGRA for rebroadcasting the Strange Oddities Podcast.